Hi, my name is Amy,
I'm James Corey.
and today we're going to be presenting our Culture Minute on China's educational system. So the history of China's educational system goes back as far as the 16th century BC, and it started with the noblemen setting up educational establishments for their children. In the Han Dynasty, the first form of public education was established for the common man in order for them to become a gentleman to advance to the upper class. And the first civil service exam was set up, and Confucianism was one of the key subjects. There were people who spent their entire life studying Confucianism in order to get respect for themselves along with their future family lineage. And this guy over here, this guy is Confucius. And basically, it's best understood as an ethical guide to life and living with strong character. The law of 9-year compulsory education was established in 1986, and it basically made 9 years of education mandatory and free for all Chinese children ages 6 to 15. But the school still charged the parents for miscellaneous fees like books and uniforms. And for high school, basically grades 10 to 12 in college, they're not free in China, so you have to pay tuition for them. And after the 9 years, students graduate from junior high school, and then they have to take an exam to try and get into their choice of high school that they want to get into. And the pictures over here, it's just examples of what children in school and what their uniforms look like. And in the classroom, the way that you address your classmates, each classroom has a class president, which you call him a ban zhang. And if a classmate is older, if they're a guy, you call him shui zhang. And an older student that's a female, you call him shui jie. And if they're younger male, call him shui di. And a younger female, you call him shui mei.
But the typical Chinese student life, the school day starts around 7 a.m. and ends around 5 p.m. You have a 2-hour lunch. Middle school, high school students have about 2 hours to eat dinner and then go back to classes, which is kind of weird to eat dinner and then still have classes. But education is taken way more seriously over in China, and evening sessions act as study halls or tutoring periods. And you can see a breakdown of the schedule on the right. I guess universities in China, students can work towards their bachelor's degree and then work towards their master's degree, followed by their doctoral degree. There are many prestigious universities in China. Tsinghua University, Peking University, and Fudan University. To get into the universities, you have to take an exam called the Gaokao, which is the university entrance exam, and it's one of the more serious events in China. Like, students work their whole lives for that one exam, which is taken at the end of high school. Here are some pictures of some Chinese universities and maps of the campus. The Chinese education system ranking is very high, as you can see from the graphic here on the right. They are ranked #1 in the world, and it's not very close. Way up in the top right corner of this graphic, you can see China there, followed by Hong Kong, which is also in China. The scoring system is based off the combined total of the country's score in reading, math, and science. And if you look somewhere in the middle here, around 1500, I think it's 1490, you can see the United States.
So the educational structure in China, it's The system is divided into three categories: basic education, higher education, and adult education. Basic education includes preschool, primary education, and secondary education. The higher education includes the universities that offer 4 to 5 year undergraduate degrees and colleges that offer 3 year diplomas or certificates. And the adult education includes schools for workers and educationally challenged adults. And the primary education, it's called the Xiaoshui. And in secondary school, it's split into two parts. So the lower part is middle school, and it's Zhong. So an example would be 8th grade, and then it'd be like chu and then upper high school, it's called gaozhong, and an example would be 12th grade, and it's called gaosan. So in China, there's a test called the senior high school entrance exam, and you take it after junior high. You take it to get into the senior high school level institution that you want to. And it's for schools like secondary skill schools, vocational and technical high schools, and common high school. It's taken in their last year of junior high, and the students list out high schools that they want to get into. And in the test, it involves subjects taught during their whole 9 years of their compulsory education, including things like math, Chinese, physics, and history, etc. And a good grade in that test would mean admission to their preferred high school. And some senior high schools have tuition fees that range from $600 to $900. And another test, which is more well known, is called the National College Entrance Examination. And it's considered one of the world's hardest exams. More than 9 million students prepare for it each year. And it's taken in the student's third and final year of high school, usually on like June 7th to 8th for admission into universities. It covers subjects like Chinese literature, math, foreign language, and then depending on their specialty in high school, students have additional tests. So for example, if their specialty is science, they'll take extra tests on physics, chemistry, and biology. And there are actually some parents that quit their jobs to help their children study for this exam, and some even hire full-time Gaokao nannies and hired exam takers.
And I've even heard that they have ambulances on standby while the students are taking the exams, and they shut down basically the whole city. So Chinese and American educational differences, there are quite a few, and they're almost completely opposite education systems. In America, you can slack off during your elementary, middle, and high school, really, and then you can still get into a good college, get into a community college and transfer if you need to, kind of like I did. But in China, you put in the majority of your work in those early years of your education because you have to pass the Gaokao to get into the university entrance exam. Once you get into a university, though, it's pretty relaxed. Really, the thing is passing the exam. Once you get into university, you still have to work, but American universities are generally a higher workload. And in China, in America, we obviously hustle to get to our classes, but in China, the instructors come to the students for the next class, which is nice. The fact that relaxing part. And in America, students move on to a different teacher after each year or grade. In China, one group of students may have the same teacher throughout their entire education journey. And that is our cultural minute on the Chinese education system.